How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Set 6, and today we're going to be taking a look at, well, what we're going to be doing for this year. What kind of things are we going to be looking at on the channel in 2025? So, like the video, subscribe for future content, but let's jump into it. So, 2025 is going to be a bit of a weird one, potentially, because we've gone beyond the post-release hype of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Granted, there is going to be a little bit of it in the next few weeks when Final Fantasy VII Rebirth releases on PC, but realistically, the bulk of the hype is kind of dying down now for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and it's going to be one of those years where it's going to be on content creators to keep the conversation going. I very much doubt we'll get too much from the company over the course of the next year, maybe a couple of interviews here and there, but we're not going to get anything like a trailer or a name reveal. Maybe we get something in November, December-ish around like Tokyo Game Show and the Game Awards. But as far as the bulk of the year goes, we're probably not going to get anything new. So, what are we going to do? Obviously, I'm going to keep talking about some aspects of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. There's still a lot of stuff to dive into. We've already gone over a lot of stuff, but trust me, there's a lot more that we still need to talk about. We've not touched on the proto-relics and Gilgamesh and stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff for us to dive into still. But beyond that, that kind of leaves us with a little bit of a lull. There's probably not going to be too much new Final Fantasy VII Rebirth stuff to talk about. Now, we are going to have Ever Crisis. There's definitely going to be more First Soldier stuff from Ever Crisis, so we'll be talking about that. But there are a lot of other games coming out this year, and honestly, I do play things other than Final Fantasy. I promise. I promise. So, what you can expect to see is a lot more content on other things this year. We are currently playing through the Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake on stream, and that whole series will be left up as a VOD. We recently played through the original Final Fantasy VII, so if you've not checked that out, check that out. We do have Fantasian, gifted to us by Square Enix, so a massive thank you to them. They also gifted us Dragon Quest III, so in the next week or so, we'll start playing through Fantasian on stream. So that's January, pretty filled up and locked down. We've got a lot of stuff to do in January. But then the next two big things that I'm looking forward to this year, and the next two big things that I'm probably going to make the most content for in the early part of this year, is going to be the Suikoden 1 and 2 HD remasters, because Suikoden 1 and 2 are absolute classics, and I'm very excited to get to play these updated versions of these games. Don't get me wrong, I love it when we get new games like Fantasian, but it is really nice to see these older classic games that we played back in the day on the PS1 be revitalised and get quality of life additions that just make it easier to play through them, and just being made more accessible to a new generation of gamers that may not have got to play them back then. I'm all for it, I'm very happy about it, and I'm hoping we see more of it, which is something we'll get to in a minute. Oh yeah, you know I'm going to talk about it. Like, it can't be a video talking about this year without me talking about that. If you know, you know. But the other massive hype game that I'm quite excited for, Clair Obscur Expedition 33. And this game looks phenomenal. It looks beautiful. The combat looks fun and involved. It's very much kind of like a Lost Odyssey / Legend of Dragoon type combat system with combos and things that you can do, but still a turn-based system. It looks super innovative, and the story looks like it could be a bit of a banger as well. Granted, we've only had little bits here and there, but, you know, it's tempting me. It's tempting me, it's bringing me in. So I'm super excited for that game to come out. We have a loose release window of spring 2025, so that's going to be something that probably comes around April, May, June kind of time. So I'll be keeping an eye out for that. I'm going to be quite busy around that time, but we'll definitely be able to find time to make content for it, break it down, talk about the story, talk about the game. We're going to have fun with that one. I am extremely excited for it. The only other thing that I'm mega excited about that we're going to get this year is the remake of Trails in the Sky, first chapter. So I recently played through Trails of Cold Steel 1 and 2. On Twitch. It was fun, we had a good time. I'd already played them before, but it just, I wanted to expose the community to them a little bit, and at that point, you kind of really need to stop and go back and play Trails in the Sky as a trilogy, and probably play some of the other games as well. It's a big franchise, there's a lot of stuff going on. But as I was about to get round to replaying Trails in the Sky on stream for everybody, because I've already got it, we heard this announcement of a remaster, a remake, and that kind of stopped me in my tracks and made me hold off. So I've stopped playing the Trails series at the minute, and I'm just waiting for this first chapter to be remade, and then we'll jump straight back into it. It is going to be a lot though, so potentially there'll be content made around the Trails franchise. Like I say, I have played Trails in the Sky before, so it's going to be fun getting to play an updated version of that, and we'll definitely make some guide content for it. You know, the usual sort of stuff that I do when I make a beginner's tips video for a game as it comes out. All of these games are going to get that sort of content made. We're going to do review content, and we're going to live stream them all. So, you know, busy times ahead, but keep an eye out. It's going to be fun. But yeah, they're my big three for this year. They're the three that I'm currently the most excited about. There are a lot of other RPGs that are coming out over the course of the year, but they're the three big ones for me at the minute. What I want you all to do is recommend a game that's coming out this year that isn't one of those three. So if you've got an RPG that you're mega excited about that's coming out this year, let me know in the comments below, and it'll guide me in the right direction for what games to jump into and what games to make content for you all for. So yeah, recommendations in the comments below will be mega appreciated. But then that brings us back to Square Enix, and personally for me at the minute, Square Enix have only really got one other thing coming in 2025, and that's the Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD remakes. I'm quite excited about them, especially given the fact that I'm playing through Dragon Quest 3, which I believe is the prequel to Dragon Quest 1 and 2. I'm having a great time with it. Like I say, I'm streaming it a few nights a week at the minute, and all the VODs are going to be left up on YouTube, so you can check out the playthrough for that. I've also got a beginner's tips video up for it, so also check that out. But yeah, the 1 and 2 HD remakes feel like a good next step for me. I've never really been a big Dragon Quest guy, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. I've never got into the franchise that much, so this is a good opportunity for me to get into the franchise at the ground floor, essentially. But then yeah, everything else after that from Square Enix is kind of rumoured and might happen. So like there's possible Kingdom Hearts 4 stuff, there's possible Dragon Quest 12 stuff, but there is one more possibility, and we all know what I'm going to talk about. I'm about to talk about the thing. Okay, so brace yourself. It's the thing that everyone's bored of now, I think. And it's the possibility of a Final Fantasy IX remake or a Final Fantasy Tactics remaster. We've seen both of them rumoured in that NVIDIA leak years ago. Everything else pretty much has come true from the leak, except for these two things. So, do they exist? Did they exist? I've kind of speculated about this on the channel before, you know, did they end up getting cancelled at some point because other games by Square Enix underperformed? We remember all of that conversation, and I don't know, ignoring that side of things, just looking at it from like what Square Enix are up to, it kind of feels like this would be the perfect time for them to drop one of those two games or both of those games if they exist. Because, like I say, this is a quiet year, it's looking like at the minute. We've not got any Final Fantasy VII remake or rebirth stuff other than the first Soldier. We've been told there's no DLC. They're just working on part 3 and trying to get that done and get that ready. So, feels like a quiet year for Square Enix, and maybe that's what Square Enix want. Maybe Square Enix kind of want to have a quiet year this year after going pretty hard for the last few years, and then potentially starting to go hard again next year. Maybe this becomes a let the dust settle, shuffle things around a little bit. They have got some restructuring going on, so maybe because we're in the early stages of that, Square Enix will just chill a little bit this year. But I also feel that, like I say, this feels like the perfect window to do it. Neither of these games will be treading on the toes of any other games. They won't be getting pushed out. Like, remember when Final Fantasy 16 came out and then all of the hype kind of died because the Rebirth hype kicked up? Maybe they want to avoid a situation like that again, where they've got the two biggest games that they're dropping in recent years coming out next to each other. I don't know. I feel like if we don't hear anything about a 9 remake or a Tactics remaster this year, I feel like I give up on the dream at that point. It genuinely feels like if we don't get anything this year, then, you know, the remake part 3 hype cycle will begin at the back end of this year. I wouldn't be amazed if we got a title reveal at like the Tokyo Game Show or the Game Awards or something like that. That wouldn't surprise me. So once that remake part 3 hype train kicks into gear, nothing else is going to get a lock in. Let's be honest, nothing else is going to get a lock in. So yeah, I think this is the year. Plus we've got the potential for the Switch 2 coming out, and there's a lot of talk that at the very least a Tactics remaster would be perfect for the Switch 2. It all kind of depends what they do with the 9 remake. But given that the Switch 2 will reportedly be able to run Remake and Rebirth, I can't see a 9 Remake not being able to run on it. And maybe that's why we've waited so long for the 9 Remake and the Tactics Remaster. Maybe they are being held for the Switch 2 so that you've got these two massive titles as a draw for the launch of the Switch 2. But the point I'm making is, if we do get something like that, a 9 Remake, a Tactics Remaster, that'll be something that'll shape things on the channel a lot over the course of the year. So I'm kind of in a state of flux at the minute. I'm just kind of waiting to see what pans out a little bit over the course of this year. There is a possibility that we'll bring some sort of podcast content back, but I'm also considering doing that closer to Remake Part 3, just so that we've maybe got a little bit more information, maybe a title. Maybe we wait until the title of the game gets revealed and then we jump into some podcasting. That's what I'm thinking. Let me know any suggestions you might have for any games that you'd like me to cover on the channel, any other kind of content that you could, be interested in watching, something that I could do. I'm just throwing things out there for you. But this is my list of things that I'm expecting over the course of this year as we stand right now. This is where I'm at. Dragon Quest is probably going to get a bit more of a focus from me. Expedition 33 is definitely going to get a big focus from us. Like, I'm really thinking about doubling down on Expedition 33 in a big way. The Suikoden remasters 1 and 2, super excited about them. Really fun games. If you've never played a Suikoden game before, brace yourself, because it's just fun. It's just so much fun. And I can't wait to see how it kind of plays and what kind of tweaks they've made to it. Very excited for that. So, yeah, they're probably going to be the main focuses on the channel, but we remain ready for other things. Anyway, that's going to be the end of this one. I've rambled enough now about my thoughts and plans. Keep an eye out for some more Rebirth content coming over the next week or two. Like the video, subscribe for future content, leave your suggestions in the comments below like I've said, but more importantly than all of that, have a great day.